Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows. Ouch. Prefixes. Bloodsuckers. Literature. I resign. And architecture. Player one, make a selection, please, as we... Before biography or graph, it means self. Yes, player one? Good.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, you pick again, please. Before standard and marine, it means below. It's player one. Yes. Player one, you pick again, please. When these are less than 5 minutes apart and last about a minute, you're in labor, and the fun is just beginning. It's player one.
Yeah!
You again, player one. Kelly?
Look out! A symbol depicting waves, a skull and crossbones, and a person fleeing warn that a device is a source of this.
Okay, player one. Yes. Player one, choose again. Per the Major League Baseball injury report, Randy Johnson missed his last regular season start of 2006 due to back these. Here's what we wanted. Spasms. Player one, back to you for our next selection. It puts the fire before TECHNICS and MANIA. It's player one. No, sorry. Here's what we wanted. Pyro. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The one name they all fear was a tagline for this 2004 blockbuster that starred Hugh Jackman. The correct response is Van Helsing. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The ban on this D.H. Lawrence book was lifted in 1959 in the United States. Here's the correct response. Lady Chatterley's Lover. Player one, back to you for our next selection. In 1869, he resigned his Western Union operator's job to devote more time to his inventions. Player one?
Woo!
You are correct. You again, player one. Here's Sarah with the clue.
This low wall around the edge of a castle roof was designed to protect soldiers from falling off.
Here's the correct response. Parapet. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The rheumatoid type of this is 3 times as common in women as in men. Yes, player one?
Yeah!
That's correct. Player one, pick again. In 2002, AALIYAH played this royal from Anne Rice's Vampire Menagerie. Here's the correct response. Queen of the Damned. Select again. Whitman's When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed was an elegy to him. Here's the correct response. Abraham Lincoln. Player one, you pick again, please. Architecture's Pritzker Prize Medal is based on designs by Louis Sullivan, father of this type of soaring building. Here's the correct response. Skyscraper. You get to pick again, player one. Brutalism is a style originated by Le Corbusier that mainly uses big chunks of this material. Here's what we wanted. Concrete. Player 1, choose again. You may know the name of this woman who left NASA in 1993 to go into the business of advanced technologies. Here's the response we were looking for. Mae Jemison. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. An amputee may suffer real pain from this ghostly type of limb. Here's what we were looking for. Phantom. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. Shadow of the Vampire details the production of this 1922 F.W.MURNAU film. The correct response is Nosferatu. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. His August 8, 1974 speech began, "Good evening. This is the 37th time I have spoken to you from this office." Let's hear it, Player 1.
Yeah!
That is correct. Player 1, pick again. The replacement for this New York City complex includes a 1,776-foot-tall tower. It's Player 1. That's it. You get to pick again, Player 1. Medically speaking, hemo, hema, and hemato all mean this. It's Player 1. Good. Player 1, choose again. Federico Garcia Lorca wrote a famous one of these for the death of a bullfighter. Here's the correct response. A lament. You again, Player 1. This Chief Justice resigned in 1986 to chair the Commission on the Bicentennial of the U.S. Constitution. The correct response is Warren Burger. You again, Player 1. This prefix turns 1 byte of data into about 1 billion. Yes, Player 1? Here's what we wanted. Giga. Player 1, choose again. The Coreys go after vampires in this 1987 film. Here's the correct response. The Lost Boys. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. According to one grisly legend, this Tsar blinded the architects of Moscow's St. Basil's Cathedral. Here's the correct response. Ivan the Terrible. Player 1, back to you. This woman was the subject of Petrarch's Canzoniere. The correct response is Laura. Player 1, back to you. In 2012, Kate Beckinsale returned as Selene in the 4th installment of this Vampire vs. LYCANS series. We're talking about Underworld. Player 1, back to you. In 1996, after 20 years managing the Dodgers, this man resigned. Here's the correct response. Tommy Lasorda. And we'll wrap up the board with this clue. Answer? The Daily Double. And you're in the lead now. Player 1, please select your wager. Answer this. Polonius tells this character, "This above all, to thine own self be true." That is correct. The Jeopardy round will begin right after this. Categories for the Double Jeopardy round are Ain't We Got Pun? Around the World. October 1st. classical composers, animal names, and Crescent City rolls. All right, if you're ready, it's double Jeopardy time. Let's take it over to Sarah.
This large, partly white seabird derives its name in part from the Latin word for white.
Player one. That is correct. Player one. Pick again. A scholarly paper on punning restaurant names was titled Do Drop In and This Vegetable Entertain You. Here's what we were looking for. Lettuce. We return to you, player one. Answer. The first of the daily doubles. You are currently in the lead. You need to select your wager. Here is your daily double clue. 1961. This man hits his 61st homer of the season. That's not right. We're talking about Roger Maris. You again, player one. In a 1953 comedy, Abbott and Costello try to go to this planet, but end up at Mardi Gras instead. Here's the correct response. Mars. We return to you, player one. The principalities of Moldavia and Wallachia were joined together to form this country in the 19th century. We're talking about Romania. Player one, you pick again, please. In 1762, this 6-year-old and his sister performed for Empress Maria Theresa. Here's the response we were looking for. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. You get to pick again, player one. You'll get an A for effort for knowing the name of this mammal comes from Afrikaans for earth pig. It's player one. Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
You again, player one. Its name comes from Greek words meaning nose-horned. We're talking about rhinoceros. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Here's Sarah. She'll show you.
Forgotten for centuries, this Incan royal retreat was rediscovered by Hiram Bingham in 1911.
The correct response is Machu Picchu. Player one, pick again. A presidential exhibit at the National Postal Museum was called This to the Chief. Okay, player one. Hey, you're right. Player one, back to you. In 1994, Jordan signed a peace treaty with this country, ending the official state of war between them. Here's the correct response. Israel. Player one, pick again. On March 3rd, 1875, his Carmen premiered in Paris, and he was decorated with the French Legion of Honor. Here's what we were looking for. Georges Bizet. Player one, pick again. In this movie, Bette Davis plays a Southern belle who loses Henry Fonda when she wears a red dress to a ball. We're talking about Jezebel. Select again. 1971. This complex opens near Orlando, Florida. Let's hear it, player one. No, sorry. Here's what we wanted. Walt Disney World. Please pick again, player one. In 1903, Panama declared its independence from this country. Here's what we wanted. Colombia. Player one, back to you. During his lifetime, Johann Sebastian Bach was best known as a master of this instrument. The correct response is the organ. Player one, pick again. In The Buccaneer, Yul Brynner played this pirate who aided Andrew Jackson in the Battle of New Orleans. Okay, player one. No. Here's what we wanted. Jean Lafitte. You again, player one. Critic Michael Kleinschrodt said of this star in The Big Easy, the very worst example of a New Orleans accent. Here's the response we were looking for. Dennis Quaid. We return to you, player one. 1800. Spain cedes this large territory to France. Here's the correct response. Louisiana. Player one, back to you. He composed the Four Seasons in 1723. Here's the correct response. Antonio Vivaldi. Please pick again, player one. Punning on Glenn Miller, a 1985 film with Gina Davis as a vampire was called This 65000. We're talking about Transylvania. Player one, pick again. Answer. The other Daily Double. And you have the lead. What'll it be? Here is your Daily Double clue. New Orleans set, The Cincinnati Kid, with him in the title role, is one of the great poker movies of all time. No. Here's what we wanted. Steve McQueen. You again, player one. The name of this red-haired denizen of Borneo's rainforests is Malay for forest man. Here's what we wanted. Orangutan. Player one, back to you for our next selection. For several years, his friend Carl Amenda was one of the few people who knew about his increasing deafness. Player one? Right. Select again. About comparing a pair of Beetles, a punchline in Master and Commander is, choose the lesser of two these. Okay, player one. You got it. Player one, choose again. The capital of this Pacific Island kingdom is NUKU'ALOFA. The correct response is Tonga. We return to you, player one. 1880. John Philip Sousa becomes the leader of this military branch's band. Let's hear it, player one. Right. Select again. Noted for its strength, this breed of horse was named for a school teacher. Here's what we were looking for. Morgan. Player one. Pick again. 8 months pregnant, Jolie Fisher did a cabaret act entitled From Here to This. The correct response is maternity. And the last clue for $2,000. 1970, 5 million people turn out in Cairo for his funeral. Here's the correct response. Gamal Abdel Nasser. I'll see you for Final Jeopardy in just a moment. Final Jeopardy still to come, and here's the category. 16th century names. What are you going to wait? Let's see what it is. Here's the clue. Paul III roared at him, I have waited 30 years for your services. Now I'm Pope. Can't I satisfy my desire? What did you put as your response? Sorry, that incorrect response will drop your score by... Here's what we wanted. Michelangelo. You've come out ahead as our champion, player one. Good game, everyone, and thank you so much for playing.
Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Brevet.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows: tennis, missing body parts, book titles, colorful language, divide and conquer, and yo, Jimmy. Player one, make a selection, please, as we continue. The ladies' singles trophy for this event is a sterling silver tray called the Rosewater dish. Yes, player one?
Yeah!
Right you are. We return to you, player one. It's the ITF Team Championship for men. Player one? Correct. We return to you, player one. Here's Kelly with the clue.
To hit one of these mid-air return strokes, punch at the ball, keeping the racket in front of your body and the racket face perpendicular to the court.
Player one? Sorry, that's wrong. Here's the correct response. A volley. Player one, choose again. This feisty American's 1984 winning percentage of .965 is the best in the ATP Tour's modern era. It's player one. That's correct. Player one, you pick again, please. In 2007, Switzerland issued its first stamp of a living person, a 1 franc stamp depicting this tennis player. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah!
Hey, you're right. Player one, you pick again, please. This assassin's 3rd, 4th, and 5th vertebrae aren't in a Baltimore cemetery. They're at the National Museum of Health and Medicine. Let's hear it, player one. That's right. Way to go.
Yeah! Woo!
Select again. An American urologist is said to own a very important part of this French leader who died on May 5th, 1821. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah!
Yep. Select again. This Lord Protector's body was once buried in Westminster Abbey. It's believed his head is buried in Cambridge. Okay, player one. That's correct. Player one, pick again. Answer, the Daily Double. You are currently in the lead. What are you going to wager? Here is your Daily Double clue. General Lee said, he has lost his left arm, which was buried in Elwood, Virginia, but I have lost my right arm. That's right, way to go. We return to you, player one. P.T. Barnum didn't have this actress's leg to stand on when she refused his $10,000 offer for it. Yes, player one?
Yeah!
That's correct. Select again. Hemingway got the title for this 1926 novel from Ecclesiastes. It's player one. Right you are.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, back to you for our next selection. Dickens, let's see. Martin Sweetledew? No. Martin Sweetleback? No, I've got it. Martin this. Yes, player one? Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
You get to pick again, player one. Shakespeare's Sonnet 30 says, I summon up this, which became the title of a Proust work. Yes, player one? Hey, you're right. Please pick again, player one. Faulkner was using Dark House as a novel title, but there was something about the light in this month. Yes, player one? You got it. Select again. James Jones considered Old Soldiers Never Die as a title for his World War II novel, but settled on this from a Kipling line. Let's hear it, player one. That's right. Way to go. Player one, you pick again, please. Classified advertising section of the phone book listing subscribers by type of business. It's player one. Yes. Player one, you pick again, please. A karate kid may aspire to this high rank, kuroi obi in Japanese. Okay, player one. That is correct. Player one, you pick again, please. This fastest of dogs is one of the oldest breeds. Its likeness appears on an ancient Egyptian tomb. Okay, player one.
Yeah!
That's correct. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The California National Park is named for this tallest living type of tree. Player one.
Yeah!
That's it. We return to you, player one. This colorful name for the U.S. Army Special Forces comes from their unique hats. Yes, player one? Hey, you're right. Please pick again, player one. It's 27 divided by 3. Yes, player one?
Yeah!
That is correct. You again, player one. 121 divided by 11 equals this. Yes, player one? Yes. We return to you, player one. Negative 72 divided by negative 9 equals this. Okay, player one. You are correct.
Woo!
Player one, back to you. 252 divided by 4 equals this. Yes, player one? Good. Select again. 1252 divided by 4 equals this. Let's hear it, player one. Yeah, good. Player one, you pick again, please. In the comics, Jimmy Olsen was this hero's cub reporter pal. Let's hear it, player one. Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, you pick again, please. A book by former President Jimmy Carter compared Israel's treatment of Palestinians to this policy of white South Africa. Yes, player one? Right. Player one, back to you. From 1957 to 1971, Jimmy Hoffa was the president of this labor union. Okay, player one. You are correct. Player one, pick again. The Jimmy was a popular SUV from this American automaker. Okay, player one. Good. And the last clue for $1,000. He's Jerry Lee Lewis's famous evangelist cousin. It's player one. Right. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. Let's see what happens in Double Jeopardy with these categories awaiting the players. Three-letter words. Ain't that America? Playing possum. Party. What a TV character. And literary country settings. All right, if you're ready, it's Double Jeopardy time. The name of this primate also means to mimic. Okay, player one. That's it. You get to pick again, player one. Your closest relatives are your next of this. Player one. Right. Player one, pick again. Let's go over to Sarah.
A natural break or pause in a line of poetry is called a caesura. The "ces" part comes from the Latin for this verb, as in excise.
Okay, player one. Yes. We return to you, player one. A male given name, it's also the Latin word for king. It's player one. That's correct. Please pick again, player one. The insightful E.B. White said, "The time not to become a father is 18 years before one of these." Yes, player one? Yeah, good. Player one, back to you for our next selection. This state's Little Diomede Island is about 2.5 miles from Russia's Big Diomede Island. It's player one. You are correct. You get to pick again, player one. This state celebrates July 24th, the day of Brigham Young's arrival, as Pioneer Day. It's player one. Hey, you're right. Player one, choose again. In early 2006, New Orleans was overtaken in population by this nearby capital city. It didn't last. Yes, player one? Good. You get to pick again, player one. Since 1792, Frankfurt has been the capital of this state. Player one? Yes. Player one, pick again. Lake Calhoun and Lake Harriet are in its chain of lakes. Player one? Yes. You again, player one. Like wombats and bandicoots, possums are members of this group of about 270 species. Let's hear it, player one. Right. You get to pick again, player one. Chuck Berry knows this sweet little number of days is the typical gestation period of a possum. Yes, player one? Good. You again, player one. Stick to it. In 1948, this Walt Kelly possum hit the funny pages. It's player one. Yeah, good. Player one, choose again. Answer. The first of the two daily doubles. You are currently in the lead. What'll it be? And the daily double clue. Australia and New Guinea are home to the 5 species of this type of possum that may weigh as little as 1/4 of an ounce. Good. Player one, choose again. The flying possum doesn't fly. Well-developed flaps of skin along its flanks have it known by this 6-letter term. Okay, player one. Hey, you're right. Player one, choose again. Paper gifts are the traditional gifts at the party for this anniversary of a married couple. Yes, player one? That's correct. Player one, back to you. The British passed 1774's Intolerable Acts to punish Massachusetts for a party in its harbor. Yes, player one? Hey, you're right. Player one, back to you. It's the beverage that would be most appropriate at the wild, riotous bacchanalia we've got planned. Let's hear it, player one. Sorry, that's wrong. Here's what we were looking for. Wine. You get to pick again, player one. Answer. The other daily double. You are in the lead right now. How much? Answer. Oktoberfest is a 16-day party held every year in this Bavarian city. Hey, you're right. We return to you, player one. In Mexico, a quinceañera is a girl's coming-of-age party on this birthday. Player 1? Correct. Player 1. Pick again. Well, golly! He left his job and home in Mayberry to join the Marine Corps. It's Player 1. You are correct. Select again. On the Addams Family, he was married to Morticia. Player 1? Yes. Select again. Pavel was the first name of this Star Trek character, played by Walter Koenig. Okay, Player 1? Right. You get to pick again, Player 1. During a dream sequence, it was revealed that this Richard Dean Anderson character had the first name Angus. Player 1? That's correct. Player 1, you pick again, please. Hardcore fans of Gilligan's Island know that this character's real name is Roy Hinckley. Okay, Player 1. Right.
Yeah! Woo!
Please pick again, Player 1. The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, 1927. Okay, Player 1. That's not it. Here's the correct response. Mexico. Player 1, choose again. Steppenwolf, 1929. Okay, Player 1. That's correct.
Yeah! Woo!
You again, Player 1. Walkabout, 1959. Player 1.
Yeah!
Right. Player 1, choose again. The Jewel in the Crown, 1966. Okay, Player 1. You are correct. Now let's take a look at that $2,000 clue, shall we? The Stranger, 1942. Okay, Player 1. No, that's not right. Here's the response we were looking for. Algeria. Good game. I'll see you for Final Jeopardy in a moment. So much depends on how you do in the Final Jeopardy category, which today is the sea. What are you going to wager? Let's take a look at that Final Jeopardy clue right now. National seas include the Irish, the Philippine, and this one bordered to its west by Iceland. Let's see your response. With that correct response, you will gain. You've come out ahead as our champion, Player One. So long, everybody.